It's vital to engage your head and heart when you're trying to figure out what God is like. When N.T. Wright was the chaplain of Oxford University, he tried to meet with each new student. And many would say something like, well, you're not going to be seeing much of me because I don't believe in God. And Wright would then ask them which God they didn't believe in. And then they would describe the God that they didn't believe in. And Wright would say, oh, well, I don't believe in that God either. I believe in the God who was revealed in Jesus of Nazareth. And that's where I want us to begin. I'm inviting you to let Jesus' life speak for himself. And this might require letting go of some ways you have thought about him in the past. The dendrobium orchid is this unique plant that has to shed its leaves in order to bloom. And those leaves have grown up with the plant, so it seems strange that they wouldn't be with it in its moment of glory. In that same way, it can feel difficult to let go of beliefs and impressions that we've carried a long time, perhaps since childhood. But if we want to flourish, we have to let go of the beliefs and habits that are not serving us well. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result each time. So let's give something new a try. It just might be the key to the transformation we've been longing for. And as we begin exploring this new way to live, it's worth thinking about what is our overall goal. And to help us get pointed in the right direction, it's worth beginning with the end in mind. And this is exactly what a team of Harvard social scientists set out to do in 1938. They followed 724 men for over 75 years to see what contributed most to their overall happiness. And results made it clear that at the end of their lives, more than accumulating possessions, achievements, or accolades, the greatest sense of well-being was derived from good relationships. People who had learned how to give and receive mature love consistently experienced the deepest satisfaction. It's the quality of our relationships that determines the quality of our lives. So a great overall goal is to experience growth and maturity and love. The greatest yearning of the human heart is to be loved in such a way that we have a sense of belonging. We experience being known and we feel safe. Because God wired us for connection, he created us to be in relationship. Our greatest fear is to be rejected or abandoned. And so many of the things we are afraid of, when boiled down to their essence, are connected to this fear of ultimately being alone in the face of uncertainty. So this means we don't just want to survive or succeed. Our longings run far deeper than that. While one might spend the majority of one's time pursuing achievements and financial security, in the end, those things never satisfy. It is the quality of our relationships that determine the quality of our lives. And the difficulty comes in figuring out how to find that kind of love and how to receive it. So many of us don't know how to love or be loved by God because we have been hurt in the past by people who were supposed to love us well. Hard as we might try, we don't keep things nearly as compartmentalized as we would like. So hurts from one relationship can flow over into another without our ever intending that to happen. British psychologist John Bowlby spent his life researching the ways in which our early attachments significantly impact future relationships. And he found that there are 4 things integral to healthy attachment. We monitor and maintain emotional and physical closeness. That's the first. Then the second is that we reach out for this person when we're unsure, upset, or feeling down. The third is that we miss them when we're apart. And the fourth is that we can count on this person when we step out into the unknown. When a child's need for attachment is not met, a child will develop coping mechanisms to deal with the pain. And these coping mechanisms may be becoming demanding and controlling, or even turning away and shutting down one's needs. These can be carried into adulthood and impact adult relationships. And they can also impact one's relationship with God. For many of us, it isn't difficult to believe in God's relentless, never-ending, very personal love. But many of us battle a voice in our head saying, well, that love might be available to some people, but not for me. And the more we've been hurt, the harder it is to receive God's love. Harder Yes, but not impossible. And I must acknowledge, I don't know your story. I don't know the ways in which you have been let down and betrayed in the past. I don't know how many times you have hoped to be loved well and found yourself deeply disappointed. I don't know how high the walls are around your heart or how strongly you have vowed never to risk being hurt again. But one thing I do know, God knows your story, and He has been there in every moment of it. He has never left you. His eyes have always been on you, and at the very times when you have felt most alone, He has leaned in and held you. His is the voice deep within that calls you His beloved. He has not demanded that you prove worthy of that love. That love is offered to you simply because you are His precious child. He sees your innermost self and does not recoil. He meets you with mercy at your point of greatest weakness and failure. And at this very moment, God is pursuing you. He longs to break through the barriers that are blocking you from experiencing His love. But He's a gentleman. He will not force His way in. He stands at the door of your heart, not with a list of rules and regulations, but with open arms. Do you notice that it is God taking the initiative? He approaches you with a heart full of kindness and mercy and invites you to draw near. Do you struggle to feel worthy of that kind of love? I know there are many times when I grapple with those feelings. When I've failed in a career pursuit, when a friend expresses disappointment, when I look in the mirror and I don't like what I see or I don't feel listened to, when I wake up feeling empty and apathetic towards just about everything in life. Those are just some of the moments when I feel so unworthy of love, so unworthy of anything spectacular. We all have friends or people in our lives who struggle with so many insecurities, worries, and fears. Why is it so easy for us to look at them and find it preposterous that they wouldn't love themselves or their lives or the way they look? But it's so difficult for us to see that in ourselves. Well, the good news is that it's not up to us to convince ourselves that we matter, that we are beautiful, that our careers are impressive, or that our lives have meaning. We have the greatest friend, the greatest being of all, the sage wizard himself who looks at us and says the truth that we find so easy to share with others. He has a vision for what your life could be, and it's completely different from Sisyphus pointlessly pushing a rock up a hill. There's absolutely nothing futile about it, but it does involve some effort. God wants more for you than a life of comfort and ease. He wants you to experience the exhilaration of being stretched, of moving out of your comfort zone, of becoming fully alive. He wants you to discover your unique gifts and abilities, to multiply them and live your life at full tilt. God's vision of what your life could be is wrapped up in His vision of who you are. He sees your dignity and greatness and the magnificent dreams you are capable of achieving. There is more planned for you than a life of mere existence, of surviving, of just getting through the day. But you will not discover this plan without Him. You might catch parts of it, but the full experience comes through union with Him. To be united with God in the pursuit of the life you were created for requires certain rhythms of life that keep you on the right track. Without them, you'll find yourself continuously drawn back toward superficiality, distraction, self-absorption, and often confusion. Unpredictable emotions will likely be your guide, and you'll yo-yo up and down depending on your circumstances. But choosing instead to give connecting with God a try, choosing to try out these new rhythms of life, that sets you on a path to stability, joy, and fulfillment. And this union with God is all about love. I'm not talking about a set of rules. I'm talking about a relationship. To understand what a relationship with God can be like, we're going to look in the next videos at 4 different levels of love.